Hello and welcome. So today we are going to be talking about a royal murder mystery, and that is the murder of King Edward the Martyr. Edward was born around 962 and his father was King Edgar the Peaceful and his mother was, well, we don't actually know who his mother was or actually whether his mother and his father were married. Osborne of Canterbury, writing in the 1000s, said that Edward's mother was a nun at Walton Abbey who King Edgar seduced. While other sources say that his mother was actually a noblewoman called Ethelfled, who was the daughter of the ealdorman of the East Anglians, and that she had actually married Edward's father. But Edward was only ever described as the king's son and never the king's legitimate son, like his brothers Edmund and Ethelred, who were the sons of Althrift, who Edgar married in 964. But Edward was also never designated as Edgar's heir. When Edgar died in 975, the nobles of the country were split as into who should become king, whether it should be the elder son Edward or the younger son Ethelred, because of these questions about Edward's legitimacy. But in the end, they decided to go for Edward, being that he was the oldest of the two, being around 12 to 13 years old at the time, while his younger brother was only around 6 to 7 years old. Now, Edward's stepmother was not too happy about Edward becoming king, and not her son, but Edward was quite nice to her. He allowed her to claim her part of Edgar's dower, and he also gave her jurisdiction over the whole of the county of Dorset. And it was in Dorset that Edgar's younger brother and stepmother decided to make their home. So 3 years into his reign, on the 18th of March 1978, Edward decides to pay a visit to his younger brother and stepmother at Corfe Castle in Dorset. He had sent someone ahead to say that he was coming, but when he arrived there was no one to greet him at the gates. While he was waiting for someone to come down and escort him into the castle, a member of the staff who were there offered him a drink. While he was drinking this drink, he was stabbed by another person, and then dying, he fell off his horse and his horse bolted, with Edward being dragged along the floor after it. So Edward died, but who had murdered him? The main suspect was Edward's stepmother, Elthrift. She and her son had the most to gain by Edward being deaf. She is accused of plotting with her servants to have Edward killed so that her son could be put onto the throne. Other suspects were nobles that were in Edward's stepbrother's Ethelred's service, and that they were actually acting independently of Elthrift or Ethelred, and they killed Edward so that they could put their master on the throne. But then Elthrift is also implicated in this scenario, in that she allowed the murderers to go unpunished and to go free, because no one was actually ever convicted of Edward's murder. A third suspect was an ealdorman called Alfhere. He was actually one of the noblemen who was ruling on Edward's behalf because of Edward's young age. Now, Edward was coming to an age where he would be able to reign by himself. So could Alfhere had ordered Edward's murder so that he could put the younger Ethelred on the throne and still be able to have some influence in how to run the country. But Edward was also reported to be an unstable young man who had offended many people through his violent speech and his violent behaviour. Could his murder have actually been someone with a grudge or in revenge for the way Edward had treated them? But we're not really too sure about whether Edward was actually like this, because there were also reports that Edward was a lovely young man and all the men who were around him just loved him and held him in high esteem. But not really sure whether to take these points at face value though, because the person who writ that Edward was not a nice person was written by someone who supported his brother Ethelred, while the person who writ that Edward was a nice person was written by one of Edward's supporters. But what we can do though is basically categorically count out Edward's brother Ethelred with having absolutely anything to do with it, because he was literally only 9 years old at the time. So after Edward died, Edward's body was buried in a grave without any pomp or ceremony that you would expect for a king's funeral, and he was buried in Wareham. It was about a year before Ethelred made sure that Edward got the funeral that he deserved, and he was reburied at Shaftesbury Abbey. Now, during the dissolution of the monastery, Edward's bones were taken away and hidden, and he was eventually buried in a Russian Orthodox cemetery. So that was the murder of King Edward the Martyr. Who do you reckon could have killed him? Let me know. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.